Hello, I'm Tiffany Cloud. Welcome to The Storm, and thank you for watching today on WYLN TV 35. Did you know over 500,000 children in the United States are in foster care? And in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania alone, around 20,000. Sadly, over 60% of children in the foster care system are there due to parental neglect or abuse. It is imperative more adults step up to foster and even adopt children. Today I'm joined by two longtime area advocates for foster care, State Representative Tara Toohill of the 116th District and Attorney Laurie O'Gurkis. They join me on The Storm right after the break. Welcome back to The Storm. I'm delighted to be joined by two fabulous women today, strong advocates for foster care and both attorneys and just amazing women. So sitting across from me, I have a longtime friend, Laurie O'Gurkis, Attorney Laurie O'Gurkis, and sitting next to me, another longtime friend, State Representative Tara Toohill of the 116th. Nice to see you both. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for coming on. It's an important subject. As I opened the show, I was talking about the fact that we have around 20,000 kids in the state of Pennsylvania alone in the foster care system, over 500,000 in the nation. And so many of these kids that are in the system have been put in there because of neglect or abuse, and we need more people to really step up and foster children, adopt children, support those who are doing these sort of things. And so I appreciate the tremendous work you're both doing in this area. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're going to start off by first just going over a little bit of background as to the foster care system, specifically if we can in Luzerne County, what's working, what's not working. And so I'm going to throw it to you first. Okay. If you could give us a little bit of a background.
Excellent. So the foster care system is for children. Sometimes they go in to the system where the government has to step in because there's a crisis situation, a domestic abuse, a fire in a home, and they're displaced. So at any given time, there's 400 children in Luzerne County alone, and there's 67 counties in Pennsylvania, but there's 400 children in Luzerne County that may be in foster care. So there's such a focus in our culture, constantly, trying to find homes for cats and dogs. And like you always see these commercials about homeless and neglected animals.
It's true, you do.
And in our own backyards here, right here in the Hazleton area, there are children. So it's so important that you're having this show so that we can bring to light the fact that these children are beautiful kids, just like any other children. And they can range from just a newborn baby that can't go home from the hospital with their mother to a child that's 18, 19 years old and's never had this forever home. Mm-hmm. So really what we did, getting together, Laurie and myself, we decided that we wanted to advocate for this idea of a forever home. Because your parents, they have to put up with you for the rest of your life. You come home for Thanksgiving.
And I'm a handful, yes.
Not even you.
No, but you're right. I know what you mean.
But,
yes.
And everybody deserves to have something like that, like some place that they can call home, that they can go home to. So we're really trying to link up, because then at the same time, we have people in our community that are just dying to have a child. Their homes are empty. They wish that they could mentor someone. Mm-hmm. And they
don't know where to start, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Brandon's Forever Home. And before we dive into that, though, I want a little bit more background in terms of how you each got passionate about foster care. I know a bit about you, that you were raised in a house where your parents fostered a lot
lot of children. Yes. 42. It was over 42 children.
Oh my gosh, they're both saints.
So my parents, I know, they're saints. And we need people to step up in this community, and we want to take away this stigma that these kids are unwanted, and that there's got to be something wrong with them.
Right.
And really, it's that something was wrong with their surroundings, or they weren't given the love and the support that they needed. It's not their fault.
Right. So Laurie, I know your story as to how you got into foster care, and it really, I know you've said it to me privately that it was almost divinely determined that you did, but if you could share with the audience who perhaps don't know how this whole process began for you, because it's a beautiful story.
Thank you so
much. And you're already getting choked up, and we didn't even start yet.
Yeah, I get a little teary-eyed whenever, you know, I go back and I reflect, and I guess that's a good thing, because of my position in life and where my journey led me is where I am today. So unfortunately, and this is what I tell people all the time, is that you know, my husband and I struggled with infertility, and we struggled for years with it. Often thought that we were being punished. As a woman especially, I'm an attorney. I'm always successful in pretty much any arena that I threw my hat in, but this was the one thing that I couldn't figure out how to fix. And it didn't come with an easy answer. So I was very reluctant to adoption. I did not want to do it. I had this perception that I hear all the time, a lot of times, is, you know, it's secondhand, it's not mine, it's not flesh of my flesh, it's not going to be my child. And what I hear from a lot of women and husbands, men who go through this, is that, you know, you finally get to that breaking point, that turning point of, you realize, you know what, do you want to parent? Do you want to mother? Do you want to father? Because that goes beyond genetics. And I finally got to that point, and I finally had a great friend who was Tara, who really just kept pushing me, you know, courageously and with, you know, compassion. You know, every time I was just distraught, saying, you know, why don't you adopt? Why don't you go that route? And statistically, it's proven that it usually does take 6 to 10 times for somebody to even mention it to you before you will even say, wait a minute, maybe I can do this.
Is that right? That long?
It does take that long.
Wow.
Okay, that's statistically from the Dave Thomas Foundation. So typically it is that, you know, that silent knocking that you keep hearing until you finally have that one door shut, and then the door opens again.
Well, and then the other interesting thing is, I was trying to do some research preparing for the show, and when I was reading about fostering, you know, prior to adoption, something like 60%, a very high percentage of the children that are in foster care ultimately do go back to their birth parent or their primary caregiver. So there's also the risk of, I'm going to foster this parent, which I think leads to some of the trepidation.
Right.
I'm going to fall in love with this child, and there's a chance, a pretty hefty chance, I may have to give them up. Was that a concern of yours?
That was a concern, but what we were able to do is figure out what are some things that we can do, that I can do, and what we continue to do to educate people on how to lessen the risk. So what I say to people all the time is, you know, if you want to adopt from foster care, you may want to look for a family, a request to be partnered with a family who have lost other children in the foster care system. There are women who, unfortunately, through life circumstances, cannot keep their children,
right,
but they continue to have more children. So, you know, that's a for instance. Children who are born drug addicted. You know, when I first started thinking about doing this, I was of the impression, oh, there's going to be a blonde-eyed, blue-haired girl. She's 17, she's pregnant. They're just going to go walking into child welfare and just say, oh, I don't want this child. But typically, those people end up having abortions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so on average in Pennsylvania, in Luzerne County this year, there was about 560 abortions. Okay,
wow.
So the typical child welfare case is going to be a child that is born into a situation because of drugs. Okay. Okay, because of some real dysfunction within the family. So I tell people all the time, you know, love knows no boundaries, love knows no color, you know, love beyond yourself. So, you know, I had this vision, okay, I'm Italian, I'm from Hazleton, my husband's dark-haired, I'm dark hair. I had this vision of what I wanted my child to be, what I want my child to look like.
Sure.
And I can tell you what I tell people all the time is that if you're willing to open up your window to love as a parent, and I'm faith-based, God will provide you the child that is meant for you. And you will not, it will not be his color of his skin, it will not be the color of his eyes, it'll be even greater than you could have ever imagined. You just have to have the courage to open that window as wide as it can go.
Okay, and now we have to take a break here because we're all about to turn into a puddle. So I'm going to call it to break. We'll be right back on The Storm. Welcome back to The Storm. I'm joined today by attorney Laurie O'Gurkis and State Representative Tara Toohill, and the topic is fostering children. Before the commercial break, Laurie, you really shared a beautiful metaphor about opening up a window and really just expanding your willingness to possibility as to what your child might be. You know, if you have a set list, I was saying to you, you know, it's like dating. If you have your set list of who you're going to end up marrying, guess what? You're going to end up with the exact opposite probably. And you have to expand your mind. And you say it's similar for adopting a child, just to expand your mind as to what that child might be, look like, represent. And you've ended up fostering 2 amazing children. There haven't been any more since then, because I haven't talked to you in a while. Okay.
No.
But one beautiful young boy and then an older girl later on, and they're fabulous, and you're deliriously happy, and as is your husband, and it's wonderful.
It is. It's absolutely wonderful. I've been blessed. We've been blessed.
Well, I'd like to, one of the things you were sharing with me is that Laurie has really mastered how to, I don't want to say navigate through the system, but it's the best I can come up with, figure out how to work within the foster care system to open that window and to possibilities. If you could help expand upon that.
Right.
And then we'll have you share your tips.
I think, so there's this wide range from 0 to 18 of children that are available. And they're going to need, they're out there right now and they do need homes. And so we're trying to change the foster care system so that it's early on. Like if you're from a family that's not going to be able to mend itself, then we do want those children to become available for adoption, because for so long children have been dragged through, and they shouldn't be dragged through the mud for 15 years, because then suddenly people are like, well, a 15-year-old with all this back history and they've gone from school to school.
Yeah, they assume.
Which we'll get into the baggage later, because there's really not that much, because they really don't have many worldly goods and things of their own. These children, they're so appreciative because there's so few things that they have. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think, so that's one item there. You want to see what kind of family, so you can kind of look and see these, because you have repeat cases where the mothers have 7 children. You have the babies early on in the hospital where a mom leaves the baby there. There are safe haven babies, which through the state of Pennsylvania, if you have a baby, you are able to drop them at the police department or at the hospital if you feel that you can't care for that child. And that's been something to save children from harm. So there's children that do become available out there. So you don't have to fly off to a different country to look for those kids.
Well, help us understand, Laurie, some of the things that, as you've lived through this process now, not once but twice, what would be some of the advice you would give a person, besides what you had previously shared about looking for?
I would begin again by saying, how much do you want to love? Children need love at any age. And I was blessed with a newborn, and I was blessed with an 18-year-old who had aged out of foster care and was unfortunately found herself homeless. And typically when you age out of foster care, you are sent on your way. The expectation is that you are ready to provide for yourself, and she wasn't. And she needed a forever home. And unfortunately the system didn't provide that for her. But I was at a point in my life where I just wanted to mom. So it didn't matter to me if it was a newborn or if it was my Brittany, you know, when she was 18, I could mother at any age. And I tell people that all the time, like, mothering comes from your heart, and it comes, you know, I'm 40 years old.
I am too, but yeah, that's okay.
You know, I still need mothering, you know, and a child just needs mothering, and a child just needs a parent and wants that unconditional love.
We all want love.
We all want love.
We all want love.
Unconditional love, that they can
accepted.
accept it, that they have a safe place, and they have a safe place to rest their head. So if you want to do this, yeah, there's so many different ways of getting involved. And if you want to adopt from the foster care system, you know, I definitely give, first of all, you know, be honest, speak with your spouse and make sure you're both on the same page.
Okay.
You know, just like any relationship, if you're going to conceive and have a child, or you're going to want to adopt, make sure you're both ready. And I, as an advocate, I counsel people through it, you know, because it is a journey to get to adoption.
And one of the things that you did say, that these children, you know, the perception may be, oh, these kids, they have so much baggage, they've been in all these different homes, et cetera. But what you're saying to me and saying to the audience is there really isn't. This baggage thing is more of a perception than a reality.
Absolutely.
So we've been able to meet so many great children through this process, through events that we've been having. And when you talk to a 15-year-old girl who just, you know, all the cards have always gone the wrong way. I mean, it's just like a bad deck. You were dealt a bad hand. You meet these kids and they're like, I just want to, you know, have somewhere where I can go and eat dinner. And I just want maybe somebody that would want to watch TV with me. And I really like dogs. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's the simplest things. It is so heartbreaking. And there's children, they're on websites, and it says there's little description of, you know, what their interests are and what they like and how they want this forever home. And that's what really kills you, because you're like, oh, these kids are never gonna get that, because someone's gonna have to go out there and advocate for these kids and be like, hey, look at these kids, they're great. And I think part of it is, if you would say, ask yourselves, like if you're watching this show, say, you know, would you take your neighbor's kids in if they had a fire? Would you, if somebody died and you knew them in your family, would you make yourself available? You know, even if you would say, yes, I would take someone on the weekends. Yes, I would buy clothing for children, or a toothbrush or sneakers. I mean, there's all these children out there that need these simple things. And I think if you kind of just start maybe with those questions, and if you sign up with Luzerne County Children and Youth, they call you and they say, hey, we have twin girls, can you take twin girls? And maybe you would be like, no, we don't have any car seats and we can't take twin girls. But you could maybe take, I don't know, like a 12-year-old that we want to keep in the Hazleton area school district, and we don't want to have them be moved around. We're even looking at teachers now and thinking, hey, these teachers, if they would just make their homes available to do emergency care, then the student would be able to go home with them, and we could figure out how to have this be the less disruptive amount, you know, the least disruptive process as possible.
Okay.
So it's just about helping in your community.
Okay,
we have to go.
We have to go to break, but in this final segment, we're going to spend some time talking about Brandon's Forever Home, which is a 501c3, pretty recently formed by you, and it's doing amazing things, and they need support. So we're going to talk about that right after the break. Welcome back to The Storm. Okay, Laurie, it's up to you. Tell us everything you can about Brandon's Forever Home.
Brandon's Forever Home is a 501c3. We started it really out of my house 2.5 years ago by just raising toys for children who were in foster care. There was a need for Christmas donations. And from there, I saw the children who were coming to my house for emergency care, typically on a weekend. A 6-year-old came one time with his belongings in a garbage bag. And the caseworker brought him to my house and handed him off to me, and then handed me the garbage bag. And it struck me. It struck me because I thought, this is how we're valuing these children. If a caseworker, a social worker, a licensed social worker who works for a child welfare agency hands a child in crisis
with stuff in a garbage bag.
In a garbage bag.
What does that symbolize?
What does it symbolize, and where does it indicate they're headed?
Yeah.
So it's awful. So I was placed, I'm on the Children and Youth Welfare Board for Luzerne County and on the advisory board, and I made a recommendation that starting in 2014 we were going to eliminate caseworkers giving children garbage bags, make it a policy, and that children forever from now on will always receive a bag, whether it's a Brandon's bag or whether it's duffel bags or backpacks, anything you have at your house, we take them. I said people have closets and they have all of the stuff that they have from hair care or cologne. From
their life shouldn't be garbage.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and what it does at the same time is it allows people in the community to click and say, oh my gosh, there's 400 children. There's 400 children right here, and they make the connection and they hand it off. So I tell people all the time, you know, it's better than writing a check to Brandon's Forever Home. When you grab a bag, it shows that you really made a conscious effort knowing that there's a child in care who needs it. We pack them now with stuffed animals, depending upon the age, and dental kits. Dental kits, we had the Hazleton Dental Association, who were the first leaders. Dr. Favello brought me in, and they kept packing our bags with dental kits. The kids don't come with them. And now we just teamed up with Banco Dental. So Banco Dental also came on board, and now they've partnered with the Brandon's Forever Home in order to make sure that the bags always have dental kits from now until for forever. It's our foundation. The house itself, what we do there.
Yes, because I want people to understand there is a house that you are looking to purchase or have purchased.
We are in the process of purchasing.
In the process of purchasing.
Yep, we're just waiting for our occupancy permit. It's on 187 North Church Street. It's a 1907 Georgian. It's beautiful. It was a general lived there at one time back in the day. It's a designated historic property.
And this is a place where these children can go. They're not going to be sleeping there and living there, but they can go. It's like it's a home. It's a literal
And they'll be
home.
VIP.
They are VIPs, okay? They are the VIPs. I wanted the grandest home so that a child who comes out of care can experience life how I believe they should. In a moment, my son could have been lost in foster care. And so I figured out, what can I do to make sure that if another child goes in, that they're going to be treated how I would want my son to have been treated.
God bless you, Laurie, and you too, Tara. And thank you so much for coming on the show. You can come back anytime to share this fabulous work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Remember, folks, don't complain about it. Be like them. Do something about it. Please support Brandon's Forever Home. Thank you for watching.